Thank you for having me.
Well, now that you're back, how does it feel to be inspired by the year?
It was a very inspiring year, and I worked really hard to get to Paris. I had just a couple months to prepare for that, so it was a lot of 18-hour days, 3-4 hours sleep a night. So I'm happy to be starting the new year and still adding to that collection as well.
What kind of materials did you use in your collection while showcasing your work in Paris?
I used all natural fibers, a lot of silks, a lot of wool, linen. I used 24 karat gold, seal skin, ermine, abalone, beaver tail. So I used a lot of elements that we use traditionally, but I used them in a contemporary way.
And what kind of work do you have planned for this year, 2015? Where do you go from here? I mean, you've been to Paris and New York, but where else is there?
Lots of exciting things. I'll actually be taking my work to Indigenous Fashion Week in New Zealand in July, as well as a huge exhibit is opening up called Native Fashion Now, and that's at the Peabody Essex Museum in Boston. And that exhibit will be opening up late this year. So that's also really excited to be part of. It's one of the biggest Native clothing exhibits that's ever been in any museums to date. So it's exciting to be part of that one.
And I've noticed in some of your showcases that you've actually used Pendleton blankets in your designs too.
Yeah, I kind of started out using Pendleton, incorporating Pendleton. I still do. I actually will probably always incorporate Pendleton in some sort of way. It wasn't in my last collection, but it's definitely a staple in my design aesthetic.
And you've also shown your work at the Talking Stick Festival at a local and community level. How was that received by the people?
That was great. That was actually back for the Olympics, and that was one of my very first fashion shows. So since then, I just kind of carried on, and so that was really meaningful to be a part of that show during the Olympics here.
And then you ended your tour in 2014 here at the Bill Reid Gallery in honor of the missing and murdered women. Why do you think it's important to highlight and to create some kind of meaningful attention to that issue? It's something that I hold very dear to me, and I like to bring awareness to it, and I think that it needs to be talked about and brought to light. There's a lot of people that don't have any idea. I just did a show in Los Angeles, and I had a lot of people that were just flabbergasted about those numbers, and also that nothing is being done. So having the opportunity to do the show in Paris, it meant more meaning for me to bring purpose and awareness over to France and get the message out. I did interviews with people in Vietnam and Dubai, so it's definitely, getting publicity on such an important subject. Do you think that it will make a difference? And what kind of a difference?
I would hope that it would. Something that happened just before my actual show on the Eiffel Tower, just a couple hours before, I got an email from a woman whose niece is actually one of the murdered and missing women. And she had read an article about that was my purpose to bring over there. And she was crying, and she thanked me for bringing awareness and honoring her niece. And so that alone is meaningful to me and important, and made it that much more of a purpose when I actually did the show a couple hours later on the Eiffel Tower.
And will it influence your designs at all this year?
I'm still going to be adding a couple of pieces to that collection. I'm going to be showing it at the Heard Museum in Arizona, in Phoenix. So there's going to be a couple of more pieces in that, and then I'll move on to my next collection, my 2016 collection, and that will have an entirely different inspiration.
Well, tell us all about it. Give us.
I don't want to give you too much. It's definitely, I'm taking it back to my roots. When I was like 17, I had a graffiti clothing hip hop t-shirt line. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be bringing it back to hip hop, continuing to use a lot of natural fibers. This collection, the colors were a little bit softer, and my aesthetic is known for bright colors, so I'd like to bring back the bright colors for next year.
And how do the elements in nature inform the work that you do in your designs?
It does a lot. The nature, the environment, the impact that my clothing will have on the environment. Also, I take into account, I like to use a lot of recycled leathers, recycled furs, vintage furs when I can. This actually came from an old vintage jacket. So when I can repurpose furs, I will. I think it's important to do that. So I'm just going to keep on creating, and just really excited for and feel blessed that I'm able to do what I love.
And do you also seek guidance from the elders in your community, and what direction do they want you to go in?
They don't really put me in any sort of direction. They express that they're proud of me, and probably the greatest compliment I've gotten in life was from one of my favorite Kaska elders, Maida Donesi, and I showed her one of my pieces. It was probably about 300 hours into this dress, and she said, "Oh, child, you have so much patience."
Yeah.
So that means a lot. I think patience can help everybody in life, and you do need to have patience in fashion. So it was a good compliment.
Before we go, tell us who your mentor is.
I have many mentors. Probably fashion-wise, off the top of my head, would be Virgil Ortiz, and he's down in the Southwest. He designed for Donna Karan, and he's a native fashion designer. So I look up to him, and he guides me. He gives me advice here and there. But my family, the elders, and I pray a lot about my work, and I think that shines through with my clothing as well.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Esquiro on Access TV, an award-winning artist. Look out for her and her designs.
If you like Shosho's design, you can commission her to dress you. For more information on her beautiful clothing and upcoming show, go to shoshoesquiro.com.